The greatest secret in life. This vacant space everywhere around us is vacant only to our physical senses. It contains the material in solution for everything we have ever had materialized in objective form or ever will have. When we have obtained the vision of an abundance of supply and our oneness with it, and have formed the fixed habit of holding fast to it, we make of ourselves a magnet through which we relate with the harmonious and constructive currents and attract from this formless energy the atoms which make for abundance of supply in our lives. We are like a central telephone station. All around us is the switchboard with wires leading out to every part of the city, to the saloons, opium joints, brothels, and other places of degradation. These represent the destructive forces, and other wires lead to the homes, churches, schools, and everything which symbolizes the constructive power. Each of these wires has a socket, while the operator has a plug which, when inserted in any one of the sockets, makes the connection complete. We can put the plug in a socket which will connect us with the poverty-stricken districts, the saloons, the opium joints, etc. Or we can put the plug in a socket which will connect us with the homes, the churches, the institutions of learning and higher places of culture. Our willpower, the central operator, acts in accordance with the images or thoughts which we allow to persist. When we live in or image or imagine destructive thoughts, we relate with the currents in which are located all the destructive things. The same as when we connect with any phone representing the destructive forces. It depends entirely upon where we put the plug of our thoughts as to what connection we make with these numerous currents, and that determines the relationship we establish. When we put the plug in the thought current of lack and poverty, when we say or think or imagine, "I am poor, I must economize, I cannot afford to do it," "I am a luckhead," or belittle ourselves in any way, we recognize in our consciousness by such thought or action our separation from the abundance of supply and are creating a consciousness of poverty. We are holding up a vision of or image of lack, and through that very connection we attract from out this formless energy the material with which goes to make for lack and poverty in our lives. On the other hand, when we put this thought plug into the socket which connects with the abundance of supply, when we recognize that it is impossible for us to have lack in our lives, no matter how poverty-stricken our objective environment may be, when we fill our imagination with the image of our oneness, with the abundance of supply, and hold this image continuously and persistently, we are creating a consciousness of wealth and success, and we attract to us by that very connection the atoms from the formless energy which begin to materialize this abundance of supply in our environment. One may ask, am I to go and buy something which I may want, but for which I am not able to pay? The proper attitude in such a case is this: buy it in your thought world. See yourself owning it, that is, imagine or image your ownership of it, and do this persistently and continuously in your thought world, and in that way create a consciousness that is yours now Recognize your oneness with it now, and in accordance with your degree of recognizing that oneness, will it materialize for you. The greatest secret in life is recognition. From the moment we are born and instinctively turn to our mother's breast, recognizing that the life and sustenance for our physical body is to be found there, down to the period we call death, we only get the things for our bodies and environment that we consciously or unconsciously recognize. On the objective plane, when our income is limited, it is necessary to adjust our expenses to such limits as long as we retain the consciousness of limitation. But there is no reason why we should retain that limitation in our consciousness. On the other hand, there is every reason why we should at once go to work and develop a consciousness which does not in any way recognize any limitations. That is one step toward removing the objective limitations. When we have established the fixed habit in our lives of recognizing our oneness with everything we want, established it so firmly that it is just as natural as is the habit of breathing, then we will find that the way will be opened up on the objective plane for us to materialize whatever we may want just as rapidly as we determine that we really do want it and are willing to pay the price for obtaining it. The price to be paid under such conditions is to attract it to us under the law of harmony. At a recent service in one of the New York churches, the minister taught on faith. In order to illustrate his point, he related the following incident. He was fond of playing golf. A small lake was one of the hazards on the links he used. He had made it many times and had never failed in the attempt. At the time of this incident, and just as he was about to make the drive, a friend said, "Doctor, can you see the ball on the other side? Should you not be able to see it there, it will fall in the lake." He made the drive, and the ball fell into the lake. Why? Simply because he unconsciously allowed his friend's image of seeing the ball fall into the lake to displace his own image of seeing the ball fall safely on the other shore. Had the friend given him the same image as his own, instead of giving him one of doubt, fear, anxiety, or failure, the ball would have landed safely on the other shore as it always had done before. Many times we have an image of success when some kind of friend, like that of the doctors, gives to us an image of doubt or failure, and we unconsciously recognize it instead of our own image of success, and failure is the inevitable result. The man or woman who is successful is the one who has filled their imagination with images, visions, and ideas of success, and who displaces as often as is necessary all thoughts and images of failure and lack which may come to them from every source. There is never a moment of our lives but what we are imagining or imaging something. And when we image lack in our environment and our separation from the abundance of supply, that is what we will materialize. But when we learn to image consciously and persistently the thing we want, to fill our imagination with the abundance of supply, with the abundance of money, of food, of clothing, of joy, of happiness, of success, and our oneness with it, it is just as sure to materialize for us in form on the objective plane, in accordance with the degree and persistency with which we intelligently apply these laws, as it is for us to absorb the air into our lungs whenever we breathe.